Welcome to this edition of Safety First. I'm your host, Tim Kelly. Today we're going to be talking about Fire Prevention Week, and we have the expert here to handle that for us, Fire Marshal Chuck Chapin. Chuck, thanks for being with us today.
Certainly. Thank you for having us.
So, Fire Prevention Week rolls around every year, but as we like to say, it's always Fire Prevention Week, no matter what the week is, whatever the calendar would show. Coming up in early October this year, has a theme, Not Every Hero Wears a Cape. Plan and practice your escape. Not an easy title, but a very simple concept though, right?
Very much so. When we talk about home fire planning, escapes, we really want to drive home the fact of pre-planning in the event that you do have an incident in your home. Right. And the only way to plan that is to practice it. Mm-hmm. That involves working with your family, finding your two ways out. We always want to make sure we have two ways out of the home. In the event that there was an emergency and one of your exits are blocked, you have a second means of egress to get out of the house. Mm-hmm. Once you get out of the house, where's your meeting place going to be? We want to make sure that everybody effectively, quickly gets out of the house, and then they can account for everybody. Mm-hmm. Once they're out of the house, they stay out of the house. They don't go back in. Again, that accountability.
Right.
And then making sure that they're calling 911.
Right.
You're not going to want to call from inside the residence. You're going to want to call from cell phone or the neighbor's house, whatever the case may be.
Now, when you talk about escape plans, I'm just curious, certainly you want to account for all the people in the home, but what do you want to do about pets? How do you want to factor that in when you're planning that? Because we know we don't want people going back in. That's the key. When you're out, stay out, right? But how would you consider people when they're building this plan, considering everything? And some pets might be more portable, so to speak, than others, but just your philosophy on that.
Yeah, so the basic concept behind that is if it's something that you can grab as you're going out the door, you're going to want to grab the pet. If it's within your egress path to exit the house and you know that, Skippy's over here in the corner, you can scoop Skippy up, take him outside, then so be it. But again, you don't want to delay your escape or your family's escape to go back to get, and I know that's a hard pill to swallow for people because pets are just as much family as our kids are.
Yes.
So, the biggest thing with that is if you can safely grab them and scoop them up on the way out and take them with you. If not, make sure you get out because that's the most important.
But certainly when you guys roll up in your trucks and your vehicles and everything to handle the incident itself, Certify can let them know at that point in time we might still have a pet inside because in the confusion, the dog might have gone this way or the cat might have gone that way and you don't know where they are. They might be outside the home, in the woods or behind a tree or somewhere like that and you're dealing with all this. But they certainly can do that and try to help where they can, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. And a lot of times, most animals, when there's danger, they'll run and hide or they'll try to escape from wherever they may be. So they may dart out the door and nobody even knows that they came out.
Right.
And, we find them after the fact. Somebody brings the dog back that, hey, I found your dog over in my yard.
Right.
And then, they're reunited with their family members. So.
Gotcha. So when it comes to making the plan, should you include the younger members of your family in the making of the plan or bring them in after it's put together? Certainly, again, throughout the whole process, whatever the end result would be, you certainly want to include everybody, but just how would you suggest to go about making that plan and putting that together as a team?
So when you initially start the plan, I would include everybody that's involved that lives in the household, from the parents, grandparents, children, maybe somebody that's a transit person that comes and stays once or twice a month.
Right.
Include them in the process from the beginning. That allows everybody to give input into the plan and to discuss how things are going to work. And it also allows them to feel that self-worth that they've given something and they're receiving something in return and make it fun.
Right.
That's the biggest key to it. This ultimately could save your life, and you want to make sure that you take it serious and that you really think out everything.
What are some things to consider when you're putting the plan together? Because, I'm thinking of, well, we always have that recliner that's in the odd position and could get in someone's way, especially if it's dark or smoky. You're thinking about the logistics of things. But are those the kind of things you really want to pinpoint and walk through it to see maybe where obstacles may be and maybe you need to rethink the layout of how you have your home and your possessions?
A lot of times when you're doing that initial recon, as we would call it. You're walking through your house trying to figure out, you want to find the closest, easiest exit to get out.
Okay.
So with that in mind, again, we talk about that second exit because if that recliner, for say, was up and now it's blocking that exit and it's smoky and you can't figure which way to go, that there's another door to your right, you could exit and go out that way. So it really is going through and looking at all the different possibilities of what could be. And then also thinking of, where the fire's potentially at in the house.
Right.
Because if your main exit is to go from the second floor down to the first floor and out the front door, and the fire's in the kitchen,
Yeah.
which may block your egress down the stairs, what is your next plan? How do you exit effectively out of the second floor?
Right.
It may result in that you stay in the bedroom, barricade yourself in the bedroom, wait for the fire department to come,
Got it.
let them know where you are,
Right.
and they'll come get you with the ladder.
See, I was going to ask you about second floor situations because, like you said, if it's on the first floor, you cannot get downstairs safely. You probably don't want people as a first point of egress to be jumping out of windows. And I know, I guess they probably make products that like maybe a roll down ladder and things like that, but not everybody has that kind of a thing. So how do you generally handle a second floor escape other than what you described about barricading yourself in, but certainly making sure still that someone has called the authorities? Because, I know the way Suffolk's constructed, we have some very rural parts of the city. You might not have a neighbor that's right there that can see what's going on, or you can shout to them or whatever. So how do you kind of handle that?
So they do make, there are manufacturers out there that make fire ladders.
Yep.
They make different escape devices. The main point behind if you have to stay on the second floor is there's ways that you can make it to where the fire is going to slow
Got
its
it.
progression into that room that you're potentially in.
Right.
So one of the biggest things is making sure that door is closed.
Yep.
Make sure that bedroom door or whatever room you're in is closed. Put some type of a blanket or a barrier down at the base of the door to stop that smoke from coming in there. Ultimately, we don't want to open windows.
Right.
Because if we open the window, now we're allowing that path where the fire potentially is going to try and seek that oxygen. So if that door is closed, there's a nice blanket at the base of it, the smoke's not coming in, you're okay in there for right now. The biggest thing with that is open your shades. If it's nighttime, turn your lights on. Don't open the window.
Got it.
But when everybody has a cell phone,
Yep.
most everybody,
Right.
and you're able to, once the fire department gets there, we do what we call a 360 walk around. So as we're walking around, if they're up in that window
Right.
and they're waving,
You know.
then we know we're going to set our ladders up, go up there and get them. That's the biggest thing is, we don't want people to just arbitrarily jump out windows.
Correct, right.
Because then you're going to potentially suffer. But that's where you have to make that decision. If the fire is now coming into that room, then you're going to have to make that choice. But if there's no fire intruding into the room, the smoke's not bad, the fire department's on its way, open those shades, make those crazy waves,
Right.
and let us know that you're there,
Got it.
and we'll come up, get you with the ladder, and get you down safely.
A lot of what you're talking about is situational, and you can plan for every scenario you think you can cover, but when it happens, it might be something completely off the chart. So, but again, having that second point to get out, and given circumstances, second floor, even if you're on the first floor, again, normally we're going to go out this door. Well, that's not working, so we need to do this or that or whatever. You mentioned something, and I think we've talked about this before. Bedroom doors, when you're sleeping at night, correct me if I'm wrong, you recommend that they stay closed.
Correct.
And again, that feeds into what you were just talking about, right?
Absolutely. With the bedroom door being closed, there's plenty of studies that have been done out there now that shows that the survival rate and the amount of fire that impedes into those rooms where the doors are closed is a lot less, because it's preventing that smoke and fire from just walking right into that room. And again, with your smoke detectors, if you have interconnected smoke detectors, if you have detectors in your room, it's going to go off the same time as the one goes off in the kitchen. If you don't, and you have just individual detectors, that individual detector that everybody has in their common areas of their hallways near their bedrooms,
Right.
that one would go off, and the one in your bedroom may not go off because you're not getting enough smoke to come in there yet.
Got it.
If your door was open, by the time that detector in the hallway in your bedroom activates, it might be too late.
Right.
So it's very important to sleep with that door closed, because it literally, we can show video and documentation to where the fire is on the outside of it and you walk into a room and it's perfect, pristine, there's no fire damage, nothing ever happened.
Right. So it's a philosophy I don't think people really think about, but it can really definitely save your life, and give you the time to at least get someone to help you, or you to get that escape or do what you need to do. But then people think, well, we leave the doors open, we want the air to circulate. Well, you might, but at the same time, you're offering other opportunities, like you said.
And we want to watch what our kids are doing.
Correct, that's true. Yep.
We've got teenagers. I want to know if they're going down the stairs or they're trying to sneak out.
Right.
Again, that's a mindset that we've got to change in
Sure.
society. Sleeping with that bedroom door closed could potentially save your life.
Now, so we talked about making the plan, things to think about when you put it together. How often should you, as a family, as residents of a home or a structure, practice that plan? What do you recommend?
So if you look at the way the schools operate, when the schools go into session, they practice their fire drills. They do multiple fire drills the first couple weeks of school,
Right.
and then once a month after that.
Got it.
So if you walked into a school right come October, November timeframe, and you pulled the fire alarm, those kids are going to know exactly what they need to do because they've practiced it. What we need to do is take that concept and put it into the home.
Right.
Once you develop your plan, you want to practice your plan. Practice it once, twice, 3 times initially. Get it to where it's starting to make sense. And then every month you want to practice. But what I would recommend is with that every month, maybe every other month, you change it up.
Yeah.
So don't do it at the same time.
Right.
A lot of times, all right, we're going to practice it after we eat dinner. We're going to push the button and everybody's going to escape. That's great in the beginning. But once you get 6 months into this,
Yeah.
then it becomes let's try it real time.
Yep.
While kids are sleeping.
Yep.
Set the alarms off, see how they react, because that totally changes everything.
Yeah.
So it isn't just practicing it redundancy every time, same time every time.
Right.
Change it up. And then once you get proficient with the initial exits, then block the initial exit.
Got it.
And say, nope, there's a fire here, you can't get down. What are you going to do now?
Right.
And challenge your family members to make those decisions and how they react.
And it's easy to get complacent. Well, we do this every month, right after dinner. We always start in the kitchen. Mom will go and push the alarm. Dad will go hit the door. We do. Well, if you just have that one scenario, well, that's fine, I guess, if it played out that way. But real life doesn't work that way.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very simple to, you drop,
Yeah.
you crawl to the door, you check the door. If it's hot,
Yeah.
we don't open it. If it isn't hot, we open it and we go outside. So you can get in that mindset. But when you start to change it up, that's truly when you know whether or not your plan
Right.
is 100%.
Got it.
And the plan doesn't. It's ever changing because you may change the layout of your house.
Right.
You may change your layout of your living room, your bedroom. Again, it's ever changing. So as you make changes, make sure that everybody's aware of the changes. But the biggest thing is, having the plan, practicing it, getting out. Once you're out, go to that meeting place and stay at that meeting place.
Now, when people are gathering at the meeting place, I mean, I know it's easy to take a head count, especially if you only have a few people in your home. But I mean, everybody's adrenaline's going and things like that. And of course, the biggest thing is to get out, and then you account for everybody. What should be taking place after that? Maybe just making sure, like you said, has 911 been called to make sure whether you or your neighbor did it. Beyond that, anything else to consider at that stage of the game?
At that point in the game, if you've done your head count, all of your family members are accounted for.
Yes.
Your pets.
Yep.
Are your pet?
Right.
Were your pets in the house? That's something. I mean, we will go. We're not going to go in and look specifically for the pets, but
Correct.
as we're doing our fire
Sure,
attack, we
sure.
can look.
Exactly.
But then once that occurs, making sure that 911 call has been made, which that should be the first thing, other than the accountability
Correct.
that the fire department's on their way.
Right.
And then from there, just really start to think about the things that have occurred, because your mind is going to be going 1,000 different directions at that point. But after that initial shock, that the house is on fire, then comes the investigation side of things, where we as the fire investigators are going to come and try to determine what happened, and that type of thing. So it's a full circle when it comes to this, because not only is it that we want to practice our plan, we want to make sure that our smoke detectors are working, that we have an escape route, but when it's all said and done, what was the root cause potentially of the fire. Was it poor housekeeping? Was it, overloaded extension cords?
Right.
Was it unattended cooking? Was it smoking, carelessly discarded smoking material? Was it a juvenile playing with matches? There's so many things that come into
Sure.
how the fire started.
Right.
But then once the fire starts, we want to make sure that we have that escape route.
Got it. So again, Fire Prevention Week is coming up October 6th to the 12th, 2019, but as we said off the top of the show, it's always a good time to be thinking about preventative measures in the home to make sure you're staying safe. Obviously, again, the escape plan, which has been the big thing we've talked about today. If people have put together their plan or have a question about putting together their plan, could they contact your office to discuss sort of basic principles, and maybe you could give some advice to them based on their individual situation?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Our number one thing in our office is prevention.
Yeah.
And if we're doing prevention work and we're reaching out to the public and we're helping them to create this plan, review this plan, and effectively if something did happen in their house, this plan is what saved their life, we've done our job.
Got it.
So absolutely, anybody that needs assistance, if you need assistance with smoke alarms, please feel free to contact our office. We can come out, take a look at it, and help you with that.
Yeah, prevention and education, the two big things that really come, other than responding when situations occur, of course, that comes out of the fire marshal's office as far as making sure, like you said, people are safe, are thinking about the right things and preparing for these situations, and then being able to act accordingly if they do occur, again, with the escape plan and just knowing really what you should do, what you should not do given the circumstances. And as you said, there's a lot of education that goes on about those type of things at schools. And I'm sure the kids bring that stuff home to the parents, and hopefully the parents are tuning into that and responding to that. But this is your opportunity to work as a team here with your children, or with your siblings, with anybody that's in the home, grandma, grandpa, whatever circumstances would be, to make sure, again, everybody is safe and has the game plan, practices the game plan, and hopefully it doesn't happen, but if it does, then you know exactly and can execute it, and that way everybody gets out safely, which is the goal.
Absolutely, and you talked about grandma and grandpa.
Yeah.
We talked about people that may have disabilities. Again, that needs to be put in the plan.
Right.
Who will effectively go into that bedroom or wherever they may be sleeping or wherever they may be hanging out, and assist them with getting out. That needs to be part of the plan. It's not just everybody if you have somebody that has a disability or is immobile, that needs to be part of the plan.
Exactly. But considering all aspects and everybody involved, right?
Absolutely.
Very good. Well, thanks for your time today.
Certainly. Thank you.
Fire Marshal's office here to assist. Again, if you have any questions, we'll have their number up on the screen. You can contact their office to discuss any questions you may have about your escape plan or anything about being fire safe. So again, Fire Marshal Chapin, thanks for being with us today.
Certainly. Thank you.
That would do it for this edition of Safety First. I'm your host, Tim Kelly. We'll see you next time.